Hello, this is Mark Leslie Lefebvre. I was just thinking about something and I thought I'd share it for any other creative people out there, writers, or just in general. So today, which is March 16th, I had a hernia operation and it was a pretty simple procedure, right? So I just had an incision made in my stomach. They tucked my intestine back in. It was a umbilical hernia that I've had for over a year. And obviously the procedure was delayed by almost a full year because of COVID. But I got fit in relatively quickly. And as I was signing the documentation, as I was signing the consent form, the pre-consent form that acknowledged the percentage of chance that there could be a fatal result from this, as often happens. And I realized that fatal result, that percentage was way higher than the chance of me ever being a best-selling author, or anyone being a best-selling author. And I realized that, okay, pretty high risk. Again, I'm fine. I had day surgery. They didn't actually put me under anesthesia. I was awake for the whole procedure. Got a great conversation with the surgeon and all of the medical professionals that were there. But I realized something that was really, really important. I had not prepared what to do in the event of I don't come back. So I very hastily put together a couple quick letters to my son and to my partner Liz. Just really, really quick stuff, just things I just wanted to leave with them, just in case. And one of the things to Liz, of course, was here are my logins, here are my passwords to all of the main places where I have my intellectual property, where I have my IP, because as an author, as a creator, I am constantly creating content. I'm constantly creating material out into the world, and that material deposited into my bank accounts. Every once in a while, it is a check. I know some publishers and places still cut checks, and I know that they will continue to make money long after I'm dead. Maybe they'll make more money when I'm dead. Hey, that could be a cool thing. But I realized she didn't have access to any of that stuff. So I outlined it, and it reminded me of something that my really good friend, Matt Buchman, writes under ML Buchman, had reminded me. So it's funny. That's right, John. I was facing my own mortality, and I'm using this as a lesson for myself and potentially for others who maybe don't have that, especially if you have some sort of intellectual property. So the book is called, okay, all right, gotta maybe if I remove the light, there's no reflective. It's basically called Estate Planning for Authors by ML Buchman. It's available in ebook, audiobook, and print. The subtitle is Your Final Letter and Why You Need to Write It Now. And it is a phenomenal book. I'm going to actually just pop up the banner on the screen. That just tells you where you can find it. You can find it at all major retailers, but you can find it. And I just thought that was really, really critical and really important. And Michelle, a check, yeah, very, and you spelled it the Canadian way. Awesome, because I know you're in Montreal. But a check is where they write a piece of paper that says someone owes you money, and you give it to a bank, and they deposit it into your bank account. But I think it's really, really critically important for creative people to understand that their assets, their IP is out there. A good friend of mine, Kevin J. Anderson, has worked with the estates of authors where they didn't know what to do with the estates. And he's done a really amazing job through his Wordfire Press of helping ensure that these estates can continue to benefit from the author's creative work decades after they die. 75 years, as a matter of fact, is how long you can continue to prosper from that. And if you're a creative person, if you're building your creative assets and there's residual income that's automatically coming to you, even if no new things are published, that's something to consider. I really strongly recommend Matt's book. He goes through it in detail. He explains all kinds of complex things. Now, Matt's 1,000 times smarter than me, so he did a really great outline. What I did, because I was doing it very hastily, I had less than a week, is I slapped together a letter, sealed envelope. The sealed envelope, I think I put it here. It was kind of like, Liz from Mark, if Mark, told her to leave it on the desk. And there's some things in there, but one of the most important things was, here are my logins, here are my passwords. But I also listed a bunch of people who work in our industry, like, because Liz's profession is not as a writer. And I left a list of people who I trust implicitly that they can help you, right? Like, you'll have access to all my stuff, but maybe you'll want to talk to so-and-so about this or so-and-so about that, because they really understand what's going on and they can help you make sense of, the logistics of operating. And again, what I probably should do is I probably should have had instructions for, I have a book coming out next week, that 7 days from now. The final file, which hasn't been tweaked yet, hasn't been uploaded. It needs to be done by this date, and all of those things. So this is just a reminder. I'm obviously the pain medication still hasn't left, so I'm not doubled over in excruciating pain. But it was fine. Everything went well. But I just remember that I think it's a really important lesson. I thought I would share Matt's awesome book. And I thought I would share. I mean, if you want other awesome things, you can go check out my website, because I'm kind of cool. There's a link to actually to my podcast, Dark Reflections, where I interviewed Matt Buchman about this early in the interviews for my podcast. And just so you know, the process has taken all of them, all the audio content for all of my podcasts, all 181 episodes so far, because it's been a weekly podcast since 2018, and loading them to audio on YouTube in a playlist that's sequential from the pre-episode 0 all the way up. And that's in the process of getting loaded automatically. Thank God. Thank you, Libsyn. I don't need to do that myself. But in any case, I thought I would share that. I thought it would be valuable. And I figure if I'm learning a lesson, why can't I just take a few moments to show off this really cool Coffin Hot Press, Canadian small press, Coffin Hot Press t-shirt that I was wearing today when I went to the hospital, and maybe and help you understand and benefit from just taking that time to let those people know that how they can leverage those creative assets of yours, or even just what you want. Like, hey, my buddy Steve, he gets all my music. That I want to just make sure he gets it all. That kind of stuff. Those are the kinds of things that's really, really important. Thank you, Tammy. I'm on the mend. Probably, well, I've got 2 months of healing, but on the mend there. And Sean says, nice Coffin Hop shirt. Neil Gaiman has some good stuff on the States for us. Thank you for that. So Neil Gaiman has some as well. And I don't know Neil, although I know Matt. So Neil Gaiman, I'm sure, has some really cool stuff there. Linked to Will Phrasing, and you wrote one out before you started back to school. Very, very important, Sean. And Sean as well, who's also an amazing author. So thanks, guys. Appreciate it. Just wanted to share a few minutes. And now I'm going to go work on my writing project. And now at least I have this started. Now I actually have to seal it in another envelope and just keep adding. And that's another thing I do is I started now, because if I tried to get everything at once, it would take forever. Start now. I've got, 10, 15, 20 things. And then I can just keep adding to it over time. So it doesn't have to be this overwhelming. As Anne Lamott said, and most writers who have read Bird by Bird know, when you write the book about birds, you do it bird by bird, and you build your stories word by word. And so it could be line by line, or it could be square by square, or however you're organizing those important things that you need those important people in your life to know. Again, this is Mark Leslie Lefebvre from the Stark Reflections on Writing and Publishing podcast, coming back to you from an awesome surgery today, where everything was hunky-dory and happy. And wow, I got out of there hours before I thought, thanks to the good folks at St. Joseph's Healthcare Center in downtown Hamilton, Ontario. Thanks, you guys, so much, and have a wonderful afternoon, and I guess a wonderful week, because it's still kind of early in the week. We can still have a wonderful week. You still have several days to make up for it if it hasn't been. So you take care out there, and we'll talk to you soon.